Ordo Malleus, whose Inquisitors are often referred to as demon hunters, is one of the three primary subdivisions or Ordos Majoris of the Imperial Inquisition, tasked with protecting the Imperium of mankind from the demonic dangers of chaos. Along with the Ordo Hereticus, witch hunters, and the Ordo Xenos, alien hunters, the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus make up the majority of the Byzantine secret police force and galaxy-wide intelligence service that is the Holy Orders of the Emperor's Inquisition, aided by the elite Psychic Grey Knights. Chapter of Space Marines, who serve as the Ordo Malleus's chamber militant, it is the task of the Inquisitors and acolytes of the Ordo Malleus to destroy the physical manifestation of chaos, demons in real space as well as any other mortal agents of chaos who threaten both the peace and the souls of the Imperium's people. The Ordo Malleus was essentially the original heart of the Inquisition, founded in the period after Horus had launched his great rebellion against the Emperor of mankind. In the days after the crew of the Imperial frigate Eisenstein brought the news of Horus's betrayal to Terra, the Emperor requested that his regent, Malcador the Sigillite, find him men and women of utmost loyalty to the Imperial cause who were willing to investigate threats to the Imperium from both within and without. Malcador eventually brought 12 individuals to the Emperor's notice in the days just before the siege of Terra began. 4 Imperial lords and administrators of an inquisitive bent and 8 psychically empowered Astartes of both the Loyalist and Traitor Space Marine legions who had remained loyal to the Emperor and served as Malcador's knights-errant, his personal agents during the Horus Heresy. The 8 Space Marines became the first Grey Knights Grand Masters, while the 4 mortals founded what became the Inquisition proper. However, the division of the Inquisition that would become known as the Ordo Malleus was not officially formed until the mid-32 and millennium, centuries after the end of the Horus Heresy in the wake of the War of the Beast. The Ordo Malleus was one of the 2 original Ordos Majoris of the Inquisition, the other being the Ordo Xenos, created following that great conflict against the Orcs to ensure that the Imperium never again nearly fell to an assault by Xenos, where the alien hunter Inquisitors of the Ordo Xenos concentrate on defeating the many threats that aliens presented to continued human domination of the galaxy. The Inquisitors of what slowly evolved into the Ordo Malleus remained focused on the Inquisition's original mission of countering the insidious threat of chaos and the demons of the warp. Since its inception, the Ordo Malleus has concerned itself with the constant threat of demonic incursion and chaos corruption that faces the Imperium on a daily basis on tens of thousands of human-settled worlds. For thousands of Terran years, it has waged a covert war for humanity's continued survival against the insidious infernal forces of the ruinous powers of chaos. An Ordo Malleus Inquisitor is sanctioned to call on the aid of any organization of the Imperium. The greatest threat to humanity in the galaxy, that of a demonic invasion of a planet, can only be dealt with by the Grey Knights, the Ordo Malleus's own chamber militant. The Ordo Malleus, besides being the demon hunters of the Imperium, is the secretive inner and first order of the Inquisition. It is controlled by a council of 169 Inquisitor lords titled Masters. The Ordo's organization is divided into chambers, each controlled by an Inquisitor lord called a proctor. The number of Inquisitors in each chamber can vary from a few score to hundreds. Being a division of the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus consists of exceptional individuals who have been involved in a covert war for mankind's continued survival for the last 10,000 standard years. As every Inquisitor has sworn oaths to defend the Imperium from its worst enemies, the members of the Ordo Malleus are concerned with eliminating the physical manifestation in real space of chaos itself. They have pledged their existence to the discovery and elimination of the demonic threat to humanity, no matter where they are found. The Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus have at their disposal every resource of the Imperium, and will not hesitate to requisition local troops, enforcers, arbitrators, or even Astra Militarum and Navis Imperialis forces as needed at a moment's notice. the Ordo Malleus goes to great lengths to hide the existence of chaos and its mortal and demonic servants from the greater masses of mankind, as they fear such knowledge might only increase the number of individuals who fall prey to the corruption of the dark gods. As such, on those rare occasions when the Ordo Malleus is mentioned by name, it is referred to as the watchdog of the Inquisition itself, though its actual purpose as the Imperium's elite demon hunters is known only to those within its employ as acolytes and throne agents. Within the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus forms a secret order that is tasked with the very specific role of serving as the Imperium's primary demon hunters. As such, it is their duty to root out all sources of demonic and chaos cult activity and to combat such forces in whatever form they take. This means that only the most mentally stalwart and physically able of Inquisitors are tasked to this duty. Their missions can see them engage their foes either in hand-to-hand fighting or battle them in the realm of mental energy, which requires special abilities and powers. This means that the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus are usually psychers, and those who lack such abilities must possess tremendous mental resolve. As they are a highly classified group, the identities of Ordo Malleus Inquisitors are kept secret. When members of the Ordo must appear in public in the course of their investigations, they are allowed to adopt the uniforms of various other Imperial Adepta that hide their features and allows them to keep their true identities a secret. Only the Emperor and the cyber libraries of the Ordo Malleus possess a truly accurate recounting of the events of the Horus Heresy. Among the targets of the Ordo Malleus are the Chaos Space Marines of the Traitor Legions, all Chaos cults consisting of Chaos worshippers and rogue psychers, and the Sensei who are seen as a threat to the Imperium. It is known that certain Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus have been allowed entry into the Eldari's Black Library and have gained more knowledge of the archenemy than almost any other human save for the Emperor himself. The power and authority of the Ordo Malleus extends beyond the nominal boundaries of the Inquisition, a jurisdictional extension known as the Malleus Remit. In events of grave emergency concerning potential imminent demonic threats, a Malleus Inquisitor may demand the services and resources of any Imperial servant or organization, a request which may not be refused on pain of death. Even the High Lords of Terra and the Adeptus Astartes are beholden to obey the Malleus Remit without hesitation when it is invoked, a responsibility laid down at the end of the Horus Heresy by the Emperor's own decree. Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus were also permanently seconded to the Cadian military due to that now lost world's proximity to the Eye of Terror, making its inhabitants susceptible to the influence and corruption of chaos. In normal circumstances, the Ordo Malleus focuses its investigations toward two primary threats. The demon without. The most obvious threat is that of demons who have physically manifested in the material universe and those mortals dedicated to the service of chaos in all its forms. The demon within. The less obvious threat is an internal one, including radical inquisitors who have been declared extremis diabolos for heretical actions in which they adopted the use of the tactics and artifacts of chaos to fight the servants of the archenemy. This duty often overlaps with the duties of the Inquisitors of the Ordo Hereticus to seek out all threats to the Imperium from within its own organizations and can lead to jurisdictional disputes or even the two Ordo's agents working at cross purposes to each other. To protect its citizens from the insidious temptations of chaos, the Imperium of Man long did its best to hide the existence of the Chaos Gods, demons, and the Chaos Space Marines from public knowledge. Only certain Space Marines, sanctioned psychers, and the members of the Inquisition were permitted to know the Imperium's darkest secret. It was long Inquisitorial policy to mind-wipe even members of the Adeptus Astartes, including entire chapters in some cases, after exposure to the demonic. All others are either put to death after exposure to the reality of chaos to protect the Imperium from their possible corruption, or, if they have been a valuable servant to the Imperium, they are allowed to live but required to undergo memory modification, or even, in extreme cases, a mind wipe. This is a policy that has been in place since before the Emperor was interred within the Golden Throne. when only he and his primarchs knew that the warp contained intelligent entities capable of possessing individuals in real space. But even the Emperor did not reveal to his primarchs during the Great Crusade the full truth that the warp was not just a seething cauldron of psychic energies inhabited by entities similar to Xenos, but was actually populated by malign intelligences akin to the supernatural beings of ancient human myth and superstition. He chose not to explain that the Imperium was dominated by the ruinous powers and their demonic servants, for fear that this knowledge alone would lead too many of the primarchs to take actions that would inevitably result in their corruption. To fight a demon army is to fight a twisting tornado of unreason and despair that forever changes those who must confront its horror. As such, the Imperium believes that it cannot allow the knowledge that such foes actually exist to spread, since even the simple knowledge of chaos's existence may mark the start of an individual's fall to damnation. The human survivors of conflicts with the demonic were invariably confronted by the agents of the Inquisition and mind-wiped, quarantined for life in forced labor camps, or even, in extreme cases, made the subjects of a worldwide exterminatus event. Over the eons, the galaxy has witnessed warp-based catastrophes and demonic incursions beyond counting. Since the inception of the Inquisition after the Horus Heresy, even the fact that such a thing is possible is deemed too dangerous for the citizens of the Imperium to know, for such knowledge breeds heresy as surely as a fly-blown corpse breeds maggots. Because of this, the vast majority of knowledge concerning demonic incursions has been eradicated from extant Imperial public records by the actions of the Inquisition. What is known is recorded only in prescribed Imperial texts and heretical Xenos scripts that the Inquisition has yet to destroy. However, in the wake of the opening of the Great Rift at the start of the Era Indomitus, this policy of secrecy has been somewhat relaxed, at least for the Adeptus Astartes, due to necessity. Before the opening of the Great Rift, the vast majority of Astartes were expected to be as ignorant about the existence of demons as any other citizen of the Imperium. In truth, it was hard to find an Astartes who had not fought demons at some point by the end of the 41st millennium. Yet the Inquisition in the time of ending was well known to mind-wipe entire chapters after certain incidents, though not every chapter was willing to submit. Some, like the Space Wolves, resisted any intrusion on their traditional autonomy forcefully and retained their institutional knowledge of how to fight demons. But in the Era Indomitus, with the galaxy now riven in half by the birth of the Cicatrix Maledictum, demonic incursions are so common and Space Marine responses so necessary that suppressing the knowledge of the existence of demons among the Astartes has simply become pointless. The Ordo Malleus is led by the Inquisitor Lords known as the Hidden Masters. Unlike the other Ordos of the Inquisition, the Ordo Malleus has a more rigid and formalized hierarchical structure. It is controlled by a council of 169 Inquisitor Lords known as Masters, all of whom have the right to have a direct audience with the Emperor himself within the inner sanctum of the Imperial Palace if they so request. Their authority even extends to the Inquisitorial representative to the Senatorum Imperialis, some of whom have been tried and executed by the Masters of the Ordo in times past. Below the Masters are the Inquisitors known as the Proctors and Proctors Minor, with each being responsible for the leadership of a chamber practical of the Ordo Malleus. The chambers practical themselves are named after their founding proctor and serve as the basic organizational unit of the Ordo Malleus. Inquisitors Ordinary form the rank and file of the Ordo, whilst there exists a parallel organization called the Chambers Theoretical and Historical that consist of agents known as Inquisitors Historical. Inquisitors Historical are drawn from the older members of the Ordo who are unable to continue their active service either due to ill health, injury, or infirmity. Instead, they are assigned research and data collation projects at the Inquisitorial and Administratum libraries. Within the Chambers Practical, there are perhaps only a few hundred Inquisitors, Ordinary and Historical in total, across the galaxy. The Chambers Theoretical and Historical, for their part, possess in total only a few score members that are engaged in research and disputation, whilst the Chamber's practical are comprised of hundreds of Inquisitors who are responsible for operating within the various Inquisitorial sector conclaves of which the Ordo Malleus is a part, and joining with agents of the other Ordos of that conclave in the field. The Ordo Malleus works directly under the Emperor's warrant, and thus has a completely free hand in its operations. This means that an Inquisitor Ordinary of this Ordo is able to demand anything they see fit from any adepta or armed service of the Imperium in order to accomplish their duty with no explanation being offered. Any Imperial servant that meets with an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor must comply and obey their command. The most common demand made by Malleus Inquisitors is for troops to support their operations, though such forces rarely survive in the service of an Inquisitor Ordinary. This is not necessarily viewed as a problem by the Inquisitor, however, as they would be forced to mind wipe or otherwise eliminate those troops who have served them and been exposed to the realities of chaos. However, high public honors are given to those Imperial units that are attached to the Ordo Malleus should they die in the service of the Inquisition, though the campaigns upon which these honors are earned remained sealed in the archives of the Ordos. Members of the Ordo Malleus tend to favor simple yet sinister uniforms with black, loose-fitting habits over their armor, along with large hoods that hide their features in shadow. Graphic electus are an unofficial yet traditional addition to this uniform for many Malleus Inquisitors, as their glowing appearance beneath the skin adds a disturbing quality to the appearance of these Inquisitors, which they find useful in seeking to intimidate outsiders with an air of menace and mystery. By tradition, Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus tend to have one electu for each coven of witches or heretics that they have discovered and cleansed. As such, for the oldest Malleus Inquisitors, it is not uncommon for elaborate electu designs to be inscribed all across their body. The designs of these electus have been fixed for generations, with the symbols intended to recall in a stylized manner each of the various demons and other chaos foes that the Inquisitor has faced and defeated. The rarely seen or used badge of the Ordo Malleus takes the form of the Imperial Aquila, holding a rod and an axe in each talon, which is worn either on the shoulder or on the right breast. Masters and proctors of the Ordo Malleus are always psychers who carry force rods as a symbol of their authority, though in combat engagements this is often supplemented with a power weapon of the Inquisitor's choice. Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus and their acolytes face the greatest threat to humanity's continued existence: chaos and the demons of the warp. The dark gods of chaos are the arch-enemies of mankind. The ruinous powers and their demons seek to bring the veil separating the materium and immaterium crashing down and undo reality as we know it, plunging the galaxy into the madness of the warp. Although insidious heretics seek to undermine the Imperium from within and alien abominations attack from without, the demons of the immaterium whisper their lies from beyond the fabric of reality. Yet, when the veil is rent asunder, demons invade real space in a great tide, slaughtering and unleashing cataclysmic destruction. Few warriors can even face such a foe without succumbing to terror and madness, and even mere knowledge of such entities is restricted. Only the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus and their acolytes possess the knowledge, strength of will, and tools to stand against the demon. Although demons pose an almost inconceivable threat to mankind, they face certain limitations. Chief amongst these is the difficulty demons have manifesting and remaining in the material universe. Without the psychic energy of the warp to sustain them, demons are able to maintain a corporeal form in real space for only so long. Breaching the veil and entering reality in the first place is only possible under certain circumstances. These limitations mean that the bulk of the Ordo Malleus's work consists not of banishing demons back to the warp, but preventing their arrival in the first place. Some demons are so apocalyptically powerful that there is no hope of defeating them in battle, and the only way to save a world or star system is to ensure the demon does not manifest. For a demon to manifest, the barrier between reality and the warp must be weakened and broken. There are a number of ways this can come about, both due to the actions of mortals and the vagaries of the warp. Even a sanctioned psyker risks opening a gateway to the warp with each use of their powers, and for this reason, some members of the Ordo Malleus share the same anti-psyker views as the most hardline witch hunters of the Ordo Hereticus, even when they, themselves, are psykers. Malefic chaos cults often seek to summon demons, either to enact the cult's aims or as a simple act of devotion to the dark gods. The very movements of the warp, perhaps fed by the collective emotions of mortals, disturbed by the activities of psykers, or set in motion eons ago, can in rare cases push against the veil of reality until it tears open. What all these potentialities share is either a warp rift that allows demons to manifest physical forms in reality, or the possession of a mortal host body. It is not necessary, however, for a demon to manifest in reality in order to threaten humanity. Demons communicate with mortals from the depths of the warp, and psykers are particularly susceptible to these whispers and visions. Often such contact is the precursor to the demon entering reality, as it establishes a link in order to corrupt and possess a mortal, or instructs the mortal in the ways of its summoning. There are many reasons a mortal might fall to a demon's temptation. A lust for power, wealth, adoration, revenge. All of these and more are mortal weaknesses a demon might exploit. Even if the interaction does not lead to the demon's emergence in the physical universe, a mortal under demonic influence might undertake all manner of evil deeds. Powerful psykers and influential figures corrupted by chaos can cause untold damage, igniting wars and leading star systems, even entire sectors, into eternal damnation. Because of the nature of demons, the early stages of Ordo Malleus investigations often deal with mortals in thrall to demons. In many cases, a successful mission might mean preventing a chaos cult from summoning a demon or destroying a rogue psyker before they succumb to possession. In this way, the work of the Ordo Malleus overlaps with that of the Ordo Hereticus. However, while Inquisitors of the Ordo Hereticus focus on the human traders and witches themselves, the servants of the Ordo Malleus concern themselves always with the true threat of the demon. Better to prevent that threat from materializing. But if the worst does happen, the warriors of the Ordo Malleus possess the knowledge and tools to fight against the demonic. The servants of the Ordo Malleus must often investigate secretive chaos cults with aspirations to summon demons, or even plunge whole worlds into the hellish madness of the warp. Depending on the nature of the enemy and the preferred methods of a inquisitorial warband, this might entail infiltrating a cult in order to learn the threat it poses and even uncover its dark secrets in order to turn such knowledge against other enemies. Other Inquisitors might conscript local armed forces in order to flush out the heretics and launch a full-scale assault on their compound. There are many heretics who unknowingly threaten to bring demons into reality. Although a scholar of forbidden lore might not think themselves a devotee of chaos, by opening their mind to the secrets of the warp, they draw the attentions of its denizens. A noble dilettante who collects warp-touched artifacts might unwittingly release the power they contain and open a warp rift. Guardsmen of the Astra Militarum and even space marines who enter battle against the forces of chaos, and particularly against incarnate demons, risk corruption that might, if unchecked, transform them into the very enemy they battled against. All too often, Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus or their acolytes are too late to stop a demonic summoning, or a warp rift might open without warning. Sometimes an Inquisitorial warband's first indication that there is a threat comes from the presence of demons in real space, whether scheming in the shadows or slaughtering in the habways. When demons step foot in the material universe, it is the sacred duty of the Ordo Malleus to banish them back to the Imperium. Often, once a demon is manifest in reality, only inflicting great damage to its corporeal form can disrupt its hold enough to return it to the warp. For this reason, combat can be a major part of Ordo Malleus investigations. Demons are the most dangerous and horrifying foes imaginable, and even for veteran demon hunters, each encounter is a momentous experience. Not only are demons powerful adversaries that evince a host of strange warp-spawned abilities, but their mere presence can taint the soul and shatter the minds of hardened warriors. Because of this, Inquisitors and Acolytes often cannot count on local law enforcement and military forces for aid in combat, as few are likely to possess the strength of will necessary to overcome their fear in the face of demonic foes. In order to successfully battle demons, Acolytes must not only be capable combatants, but strong enough of will to maintain their composure. Heavy weapons and sanctified blades are of no use if the warriors fall apart in the presence of the horrific enemy. The direct military forces employed by the Ordo Malleus are small, as only a select few individuals are trusted by the Inquisition with extensive knowledge of chaos. Diamond Hunter strike forces usually consist only of a Malleus Inquisitor, the Inquisitor's personal retinue of acolytes and throne agents, and as many Grey Knights as can be spared if the threat is unusually potent. In battle, the greatest advantage of any Ordo Malleus force lies in the specialized and consecrated weaponry available to it. Utilizing techniques and metallurgy lost to the rest of the Imperium, Malleus savants and allied Adeptus Mechanicus tech priests produce and maintain immensely powerful arms and armor specifically designed to combat demons, Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Sorcerers, Rogue Psychers, and other warp entities. In addition to this equipment, the Malleus remit allows any demon hunter strike force to be bolstered by units requisitioned or seconded from the Adeptus Astartes, the Astra Militarum, and the Officio Assassinorum. Only the ranks of the Grey Knights are expected to survive in the service to the Ordo Malleus. All other troops that are seconded to the Ordo Malleus often see their lives expended so as to better prevent them from later being corrupted by chaos. Even seconded Space Marines will be subjected to a mind wipe if no other sanction is taken, particularly during time of ending before the birth of the Great Rift made such precautions largely pointless. Those troops seconded to the missions of the Ordo Malleus inevitably become privy to one of the Imperium's most closely guarded secrets, the existence of chaos as a potent, sentient, metaphysical force within the warp, and of the entities rightly called demons who serve the dark gods. As their duty is to keep this threat contained and hidden from the citizens of the Imperium, the Ordo Malleus will often execute any troops that survive an encounter with demons or other telltale warp entities. At a minimum, such troops will be mind-wiped and even sterilized to prevent the taint of chaos from creating mutants from amongst their offspring. Those slain in battle, or even as a result of the Inquisition's orders, always receive full honors shortly after their death or execution. Ultimately, all other servants of the Emperor, including other Inquisitors, are seen as expendable in the pursuit of the destruction of humanity's archenemy. The exceptions to this secrecy by extermination policy are units seconded by the Adeptus Astartes, since the execution of a Space Marine is a terrible waste of Imperial resources due to the sheer difficulty of creating these transhuman warriors. Those Astartes not of the Grey Knights serving with the Ordo Malleus are mind-scrubbed immediately after their service is completed in order to remove any memory of the Ordo Malleus's existence and operational protocols. Ultimately, only the Grey Knights are allowed to retain their memories of their duty with the Ordo Malleus, as their centuries of service have proven again and again that they are incorruptible in the face of the temptations of chaos. Trained from their youth by the Schola Progenium in the arts of war, stormtroopers are, perhaps, the finest soldiers ever to serve with the Astra Militarum. Armed with their trademark hellguns and hell pistols, these elite soldiers take combat to the heart of the enemy with blinding speed and deadly precision. Their accuracy is aided by their highly protective carapace armor's integrated targeting system. Equipped with the finest weapons and war gear in the Departamento Munitorum's arsenal, stormtroopers are trained to carry out missions beyond the capabilities of even the most veteran rank-and-file guardsmen. Should a sponsored candidate survive the grueling regime of harsh training, they eventually become an Imperial Stormtrooper or Tempestus Scion. However, Stormtrooper candidates sponsored by the Inquisition are not meant to join a proper Tempestus Scions unit, nor to deploy alongside the Astra Militarum. Instead, these Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, with their training complete, are taken by their sponsor to serve a higher purpose, a permanent place on an Inquisitor's retinue of acolytes and throne agents. The Inquisition maintains a string of fortresses scattered throughout the galaxy, some hidden, some extremely well-known, and the object of numerous dark legends. Inquisitorial Stormtroopers are also used by the Inquisition to guard these fortresses and the Black Ships and Inquisitorial Black Ships as they make their purity runs across the Imperium's sectors, as well as to augment an individual Inquisitor's personal retinue and warband forces with reliable and effective elite soldiers. Inquisitorial Stormtroopers are selected from families with a record of unwavering faith in the Emperor and prior duty to the Inquisition. They are trained and equipped in a manner similar to standard Tempestus Scions, albeit lacking the rapid insertion and infiltration skills, as they are not expected to undertake such types of missions. Such activities are more often carried out for the Inquisition by the Officio Assassinorum. The Grey Knights are a mysterious and classified loyalist chapter of Space Marines, specifically tasked with combating the dangerous demonic entities of the Warp and all who wield the corrupt power of the Chaos Gods. Legend has it that the Grey Knights were founded on the order of the Emperor himself in the final days of the Horus Heresy. Though the chapter's origins are uncertain in many details, it is known that the Emperor ordered the creation of a force specifically mandated to fight chaos after the onset of the galaxy-wide rebellion. This organization, which was eventually named the Imperial Inquisition, was to include a branch of specialized Space Marine warriors, as the heresy demonstrated that a powerful military force was necessary to fight the demonic minions of chaos. The Grey Knights act as the military arm or chamber militant of the Ordo Malleus, the demon hunters who form the oldest branch of the virtually omnipotent Inquisition. The Grey Knights' fortress monastery is based on Titan, the largest of the moons of the gas giant Saturn in the Sol system, that is kept as a private preserve of the Inquisition. The existence of the chapter is virtually unknown outside of the Inquisition and the highest echelons of the Imperial Adepta, and is a well-guarded secret. Unlike other Astartes, every Grey Knight is a potent psyker. Yet, in the 10,000 standard years of Imperial history, no Grey Knight has ever been corrupted by the ruinous powers of chaos, so pure is their gene seed, said to have been drawn directly from the genome of the Emperor, and so potent their psychic conditioning and faith in the Emperor. Below are listed individuals notable for directly serving alongside the Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus. For notable Grey Knights, please see the Grey Knight's own page. Inquisitor Amazi. Amazi is the Spectarian's sole Ordo Malleus Inquisitor. He is a grizzled and ancient veteran, close on 300 standard years old, whose career has taken him from Titan to the very edges of the Imperium, hunting down demons and the corrupt humans who summon them. Now all but decrepit, he has come to the Calixis sector to, as he puts it, bask in the radiance of the Tyrant Star and learn its secrets. A long career has left Amazi intensely cynical and pessimistic. He has come to believe that the Emperor is dead, chaos cannot be stopped, and the human race is doomed. The Imperium, Amazi believes, is a grotesque symptom of the fact that the human race is currently living through its inevitable and drawn-out extinction. He has dabbled with radicalism in his career, even being declared excommunicate by Puritan colleagues for seeking out demonic knowledge, but no one in the Tyrantine cabal other than Zerbe knows this. Amazi has no friends, and does not particularly care what people think of him, angrily refusing to tell any stories of his astonishing demon-hunting career, although an acolyte who displays great courage in the face of a demonic foe might win Amazi's grudging respect. Amazi was a martially minded inquisitor in his prime, and secretly would love nothing better than to mount up on his mobile war pulpit, don his armor, and take up his demon hammer to ride into battle once more against a horde of demonic foes. He believes that the Tyrant Star, may be the harbinger of man's inevitable doom, and he wants to be at ground zero to witness the great day when it happens. Inquisitor Lord Torquemada Coteaz. Torquemada Coteaz gained his reputation for being a fearsome demon hunter through years of action against the forces of chaos. He is now known as the High Protector of the Formosa sector. With his power and popularity, he is served by literally thousands of acolytes and throne agents, and he arms himself with rare weapons like his anointed diamond hammer, artificer power armor, a Glavoden eagle, and various potent relics of the Inquisition. Inquisitor Covenant. Covenant is one of a new breed of demon hunters who hunts down traitorous members of the Inquisition itself and their demon hosts. He trained the Inquisitor Evixia Danica. Covenant is equipped with a power falcon, a psycannon, and limited psychic powers. Demon huntress Evixia Danica. After her father, Colonel Danica, was murdered by a demon summoned by chaos cultists who wanted revenge for the purge he enacted on them and their brethren, Evixia was trained by Inquisitor Covenant. She had her father's skull fitted with an autogun and embedded within her armor so he could serve the Emperor beyond death. She wields a power halberd made from the shards of St. Josmain's armor. The weapon is filled with the power of the Imperial Saint and has sent scores of demons screaming back into the depths of the warp. Inquisitor Lord Gancus Dar. Gancus Dar is one of the leaders of the Ordo Malleus in the Calixian conclave of the Calixis sector. Dar serves as the current proctor of the Scalariate at arms for the Calixian Malleus. Inquisitor Fidus Falcone Horst. Horst was an inquisitor of the Ordo Malleus who played major supporting roles in the Gothic War, the First and Second War for Armageddon, and Inquisitor Katerina Greyfax's quest to find the artifact known as the Eye of Night. This device had originally assisted Abaddon the Despoiler in gaining control of the Blackstone fortresses during the Gothic War, and was sought by Greyfax after 999. M41, in an attempt to aid Primarch Robert Guilliman in learning how to seal the Great Rift created across the Imperium in the wake of the 13th Black Crusade. Horst was known to be a psyker of some power. Inquisitor Jock Draco. Jock Draco was a secret inquisitor of the Ordo Malleus, active in the late 38th and early 39th millennia. He purportedly uncovered a widespread conspiracy involving numerous high-ranking members of the Inquisition known as the Ordo Hydra, as well as highly sensitive information regarding the Emperor. Draco proved instrumental in stopping a plot by the Ordo Hydra to psychically enslave mankind in the hope of striking a blow that would eliminate chaos from the galaxy forever. In reality, the plan very likely would have spawned a fifth chaos god who would have guaranteed the ultimate victory of chaos over the Imperium of man. In the course of his mission, Jock Draco became one of the few individuals in the galaxy to have entered the Emperor's Sanctum Imperialis to have an audience with the Emperor of mankind since his internment in the Golden Throne at the end of the Horus Heresy. It is also said that he was the only human to ever penetrate the fabled Black Library, their secret craft world within the Webway, that contains the entire race's knowledge concerning chaos without the Eldar's consent. He was declared renegade by the Inquisition, and he was reported to have died within the Webway in the early 39th millennium under mysterious circumstances. Draco was known to have a retinue consisting of a navigator, an assassin, and a squat. He was reported to be a formidable psyker. Inquisitor Octus Enoch. Octus Enoch is an Ordo Malleus inquisitor of the Calixian conclave of the Calixis sector and a member of the Scalariate at arms. He holds the title Prognost Pursuant, and his primary mission is to hunt down prophecies relating to future demonic incursions. Once he has found a true prophecy foretelling an incursion and has interpreted it, he dispatches a cell of acolytes to ensure that it does not come about, whatever the cost in doing so. To this end, Octus employs a huge household with a mix of Imperial adepts and more militant acolytes. The adepts, drawn from the Administratum and the Adeptus Mechanicus, are tasked with poring through thousands upon thousands of tomes of prophecy, prognostication, and sometimes pure gibberish, and the others work in the field according to their master's instructions. The Inquisitor rarely takes to the field himself, although he has done so in the past, most notably when he bound the demon Nateris into a demon host and imprisoned it within a shuttle orbiting a dead star. Instead, Octus presides over his many acolyte cells, dispatching them across the entire Calixis sector to disrupt the dark prophecies identified by his adepts. Inquisitor Silas Hand. Silas Hand was at first a witch hunter serving under the Ordo Solar in the Segmentum Solar who eliminated thousands of heretics. After being approached by an important demon hunter, Inquisitor Lord Hephaestus Grudd, he was invited to join the Ordo Malleus. Inquisitor Hand was sent to Ophelia 7 to identify if Battle Sister Ephrael Stern was tainted by chaos. Mysteriously, she was the sole survivor out of 12,000 Imperial Guardsmen who had been sent to the planet Parnus. His investigation led to no conclusion, and Hand was forced to return with her to the planet Parnus. During the journey, their vessel's navigator was possessed by chaos and destroyed their starship, the Hammer of Thor. Escaping, both Hand and Stern were able to land upon the surface of Parnus. However, they soon confronted the demon Kutlasi Isho Akshami. Once again, only Stern managed to survive the ensuing battle. Inquisitor Jason Hunt. Jason Hunt was an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor and Warden of the Stromguard sector. Hunt is closely affiliated with Commander Marcus Flintlock of the Storm Dragon Space Marine chapter, and has used detachments of that force frequently in pursuit of his missions. He's also a potent high-level psyker, Lord Inquisitor Barbillis. Barbillis was an Inquisitor active during the 41st millennium. A warrior first and foremost, Barbillis was the very exemplar of an Inquisitor of the Ordo Malleus. Stern, reliable, devoted to his holy mission, and utterly remorseless. From the height of his war pulpit, Lord Inquisitor Barbillis had battled countless demons, smiting them with his heavy warhammer, forged from meteoritic iron and protected by golden power armor, depicting demons being crushed under the Emperor's heels. Whenever Imperial citizens heard rumors of the secretive Ordo Malleus, they imagined men like Barbillis. Barbillis's deeds were great and many: the purge of the Rana nobility, the destruction of the criminal empire of Kashar the Butcher, and the cleansing of Gerentulin Minor Count amongst his most famous deeds, as did his final death fighting the demon prince Malagrim, the Bloodstained, on the agri-world of Agnarson's Hold. It is still unknown if the venerable Inquisitor died at the hands of the demon prince or in the fires of the Exterminatus he had ordered himself, should he fail to banish the demon, but his martyrdom elevated Barbillis above his contemporaries. Barbillis's name was inscribed on the walls of the Hall of Heroes within the Imperial Palace, and countless statues were erected in his honor, both within Inquisitorial fortresses of the Segmentum Solar and without. Lastly, the name of Barbillis has somehow been tainted by the actions of one of his former acolytes, Renegade Inquisitor Golik Rensar Valinov. Lord Inquisitor Hiram Nechona. Hiram Nechona is the last survivor of the Ordo Malleus Chamber Apollyon, formerly tasked with the scrutiny and safeguarding of the now revoked Orpheus sector. This span of the Segmentum Tempestus had always been known for its turbulent warp tides, and thus the Ordo's Chamber Apollyon had gained much experience in the fight against the denizens of the warp. Yet it would be Nechona's lack of judgment that would allow for the catastrophic Orphean War to ravage the Orpheus sector and cause its downfall. The experienced Lord Inquisitor had falsely interpreted the devastation wrought by the awakening Maynarch dynasty of the Necron as a prelude to a far greater chaotic incursion. Being a close advisor to the sector's governor, Calibron Lan, Nechona stalled every offensive gathering of Imperial forces and did not pass on the knowledge he possessed to his colleagues in the Ordo Xenos, who might have seen the signs of their impending doom. Lord Inquisitor Nechona's ultimate fate following the Battle of Amara remains uncertain. Renegade Inquisitor Kixos, originally a devout member of the Ordo Malleus, Kixos' destiny was forever changed after he was wounded by a demon on the world of Lacan 15th. Part of the abomination's claw had become lodged in Kixos' heart, and this fragment gave Kixos a link to the warp he had never before known. Quixos soon began investigating how he might put the powers of the warp to his own uses. Over successive centuries, Quixos became ever more deeply caught up in occult study and the use of chaos. He bound the demon Carnagar into a sword he then took as his personal weapon, stole the Malleus Codicium from the library of Othella on Zandrini Prime, created demon hosts, and built up a vast network of catspaws and puppets throughout the Inquisition and the broader Imperium. Yet, though Quixos was arguably falling into damnation, it was in the hope of achieving a great good, chiefly harnessing the energies of the Cadian pylons in order to close the Eye of Terror. Alas, his methods grew ever more extreme and brought him into increasingly frequent contact and conflict with more puritanical inquisitors. In the end, Quixos' plans fell into dust when fellow Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn at last slew him in single combat at Farnes Beta. To date, no other has attempted to replicate Quixos' designs. Until they do, it will be impossible to say whether Quixos was motivated by genius or warp-touched insanity. Lord Inquisitor Hector Rex. Hector Rex is an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor and was the Lord Proctor of the Scarus Conclave of the Inquisition in the Scarus sector during the Siege of Vrax. Inquisitor Rex is a highly regarded Imperial hero and bears the title Auditorii Imperator, having been one of the few individuals that has been admitted within the Sanctum Imperialis into the presence of the God Emperor. Inquisitrice Bray Ligea, initially recruited by the Ordo Hereticus from one of the many noble houses of Gathalamor, Inquisitrice Bray Ligea was recruited into the Ordo Malleus for her unparalleled skill at decrypting and processing ancient texts. In this, she was greatly aided by her growing psychic powers as an infocyte, capable of gleaning information from any document by merely touching it. A scholar and an investigator more than a warrior, Inquisitress Ligea would prove most valuable in the successful hunt and capture of the renegade Inquisitor Golek Rensar Valinov and the identification of Valinov's true master, the greater demon Gargachuloth, the Prince of 1,000 Faces. Charged with preventing this powerful lieutenant of Tzeentch from manifesting in real space, Bray Ligea was dispatched to the Trail of St. Evisur, an almost forgotten corner of the Segmentum Solar, to investigate several leads. What she uncovered made for a truly terrifying picture. For 10,000 standard years, Gargachuloth had been orchestrating his return. Almost every world within the Trail of St. Evisur had been touched by him, many of his cults even masquerading as the local imperial authorities without the knowledge of the Inquisition. For reasons best left unknown, Inquisitress Bray Ligea was declared excommunicatrix by her fellow Inquisitors after one of her death cultists helped the renegade Golek Rensar Valinov escape his rightful judgment. Arrested by the Grey Knights, Inquisitress Ligea did not resist, but was deemed too corrupted by the knowledge she had gained to warrant anything less than execution. However, as would only be discovered far too late, Ligea had not been corrupted by the power of chaos. Her psychic powers had allowed her to learn Gargachuloth's true name, thus enabling Justicar Alaric of the Grey Knights to banish the demon from the material realm for a further 1,000 standard years and add its name to the Codicium Aeternum. Inquisitor Suresia, a veteran demon hunter and long-serving member of the Scalariate of Arms. As a Xanthite Inquisitor, Suresia's radical methods have earned him the condemnation of dozens of fellow Inquisitors, especially Puritans, but so far he has avoided formal censure. This is highly successful, but also due to the governing principles of the Scalariate at Arms, which enforce an uneasy truce between peers with widely divergent beliefs. Suresia has been instrumental in purging many widespread conspiracies and cults, and has halted several potentially devastating demonic incursions. Suresia rarely undertakes missions alongside other Inquisitors, although he will cooperate in the early stages of an investigation if circumstances dictate. However, the final execution of any mission is always undertaken exclusively by Suresia and his followers. None outside his household have ever witnessed the methods he uses to such great effect in the banishment of the enemies of mankind. Inquisitor Mordecai Toth. Mordecai Toth was the Inquisitor dispatched by the Ordo Malleus to the world of Tartarus to warn the Bloodraven Space Marine chapter about the warp storm that was about to hit the planet and to ensure that the forces of chaos operating on that doomed world were found and purged. Toth initially suspected the Bloodraven's force commander on Tartarus, Captain Gabriel Angelus of the Third Company, of being tainted by the ruinous powers due to the commander's stubborn refusal to flee in the face of the arrival of chaos forces from the Alpha Legion on the planet, which Toth perceived to be a symptom of Angelus becoming overly obsessed and enamored with chaos. He did not suspect the true traitor, the Bloodraven's librarian Isidore Achios, until it was too late. He helped the Bloodravens purge chaos from Tartarus and even gave Gabriel his demon hammer, Godsplitter, which had been forged from a fragment of an Eldar avatar of Cain's sword. It was with this same weapon that Captain Angelus, in an attempt to destroy the artifact of chaos found on the world called the Maledictum, unintentionally released a powerful greater demon of Khorne from its prison within the object where it had been trapped following a battle with the Eldar of Bieltan Craftworld for many millennia. During the course of the Bloodraven's campaign on Tartarus, it was discovered that Inquisitor Toth had actually been present on the planet before the initial Orc invasion that had called the Space Marines to the world. Presumably, Toth was there trying to find the Maledictum before it could fall into the hands of the servants of chaos. Inquisitor Commodus Voke. Commodus Voke was a respected and experienced Inquisitor active in the Scarus sector of the Segmentum Obscurus. A strict Puritan of the Thorian doctrine, Voke was an immensely powerful psyker and considered near unkillable by his Inquisitorial brethren. Forthright and brash, Voke eschewed all subterfuge and deception, considering such things the tools only of radicals. Voke mentored the Inquisitor Golesh Phepos Constantine Heldane, sponsoring his rise to the rank of full Inquisitor. Despite Voke's membership in the Ordo Malleus, he was not considered to be strongly aligned with Inquisitor Lord Bazir and Inquisitor Leonid Ozma, the dominant political inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus at the time. Voke was killed during the assault against the heretic Xanthite Quixos, having answered the call of Gregor Eisenhorn despite Eisenhorn's status as a renegade at the time. Voke stood against the demon host Profaniti, proving his psychic mastery one more time in Eisenhorn's defense. After his death, Voke was buried at the Thorian sacristy, adjoining the great cathedral of Thracian Primaris, where a small plaque commemorating his deeds remains to this day. The Ordo Malleus, known as the Order of the Hammer, is one of the most mysterious branches of the Inquisition. While many know of their role in combating demonic threats, there are numerous little-known facts about this organization. Interestingly, the Ordo Malleus has its own library of forbidden texts, known as the Librarium Demonica. This collection contains the most dangerous books on chaos and demonology in the Imperium. Access is restricted to only the highest ranks of the Ordo, and even then under strict supervision. It is said that some tomes are written in blood on human skin and can whisper to their readers. Inquisitors of the Ordo Malleus often wear special amulets known as sigils of warding. These artifacts not only protect against demonic influence, but also act as a sort of lie detector when interrogating suspects with connections to chaos. When the wearer of the amulet encounters a demonic entity or strong warp energy, the sigil of warding begins to glow and vibrate. One of the most unusual aspects of the Ordo Malleus is their practice of demonic contracts. In extreme cases, when conventional methods are powerless, some radical inquisitors make deals with lesser demons to obtain information or assistance in fighting greater threats. This practice is extremely dangerous and strictly regulated, but sometimes proves to be the only way to prevent a planetary-scale catastrophe. Few know that the Ordo Malleus has a special division known as Divisio Astrographica. This group is engaged in mapping warp storms and anomalies, trying to predict future demonic invasions. They use a mixture of astronomical observations, psychic predictions, and ancient prophecies to create probability maps of demonic activity. The Ordo Malleus arsenal includes weapons unknown even to many other inquisitors. For example, Null bombs are devices that temporarily turn off the warp in a small radius, making demons material and vulnerable. However, this weapon is extremely rare and dangerous to use as it can seriously harm psychers and navigators. The Ordo Malleus has its own network of informants among the population, known as Oculus Imperia. These agents often don't know who they're working for and simply report strange events to local authorities. This information is filtered and analyzed by special adepts of the Ordo Malleus, who look for signs of demonic activity. Interestingly, the Ordo Malleus has a special procedure for dealing with psychers who have survived demonic possession. Instead of immediate execution, as is often the case, these individuals are sometimes recruited into a special corps known as penitent psychers. These psychers undergo intensive training and are used to detect and combat demonic threats, often as one-time assets in extremely dangerous missions. The Ordo Malleus is also responsible for the containment and study of captured demonic artifacts. For this purpose, there is a network of top-secret facilities known as Vaults of Containment. These repositories are protected not only by physical barriers and armed guards, but also by powerful psychic shields and constant banishment rituals. One of the most controversial aspects of the Ordo Malleus's work is their interaction with Xenos in the fight against Chaos. Although the Inquisition officially condemns any contact with aliens, some Ordo Malleus Inquisitors secretly collaborate with eldar seers or even study Necron technologies to create more effective means of combating demons. There is a legend about a secret order within the Ordo Malleus known as the Keepers of the Black Flame. This group allegedly guards an ancient artifact, the Black Flame, which is capable of permanently destroying demons rather than just sending them back into the warp. The truth of this legend is unknown, but many Inquisitors have spent their lives searching for this mythical object. The Ordo Malleus has its own school for training young recruits, known as Schola Malleus. Unlike regular Schola Progenium, here students are subjected to controlled exposure to warp energies from an early age to develop resistance to chaos corruption. Many consider these methods too risky, but proponents argue that it's necessary to create effective fighters against demonic threats. Interestingly, the Ordo Malleus has a special protocol called Exterminatus Extremis. Unlike regular Exterminatus, which destroys the surface of a planet, this protocol involves completely splitting the planet into atoms. It is applied only in cases where a planet is so infected by chaos that even its debris could pose a threat. Finally, it's worth mentioning the Malleus Cabal, a secret group within the Ordo Malleus that studies and experiments with time anomalies related to chaos. Their goal is to develop methods for predicting and preventing demonic invasions before they begin by manipulating time streams in the warp. These little-known aspects of the Ordo Malleus's activities underscore the complexity and danger of their mission. Balancing on the edge between protecting humanity and the risk of corruption, Ordo Malleus Inquisitors make difficult decisions every day that can determine the fate of entire worlds.